The Sports Talk Recruiting Report is sponsored by Seawell's Catering.
All right, time to dive into recruiting. We dip our recruiting report in cold water and shove it down our throats. And then we regurgitate.
I think Seawells has got to add hot dogs to the daily luncheon buffet. Right around the 4th. I know they'll probably be closed on the 4th.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure they are.
Leading up to that.
But, you know, we got an RBF coming up, so that's only 36 hours away. What time is it now? Let me check my
7:21.
Let me check my dependable computer clock.
I was gonna say, you sure it's 7:21 on your end, or is it 5
add
or
an
something
hour?
Like that? Yeah.
7:21 Eastern Daylight Savings Time. I got it fixed right here.
It's great.
Yeah, that will never happen again, probably.
Tomorrow on the buffet, Southern fried chicken, baked flounder, and pulled pork.
Flounder.
Right from the Congaree.
Flounder from the Congaree and salmon from the Broad. Makes for a great combination of fish here in the Columbia area.
4 eyes.
Could be.
Six tails.
Could be. Not at Seawells, though. Only the finest of fish make it into Seawells. I can promise you that. High quality fish and everything else. Don't forget the daily luncheon buffet tomorrow and Friday from 11 till 2. All right, it's only $14.50 at Seawells. And you got something coming up, and you need the very best in catering. Make that phone call to Seawells at 803-771-7385. Check them out online at SeawellsCateringSC.com. South Carolina commitment today from tight end Preston Douglas, 6'4", 220, North Palm Beach, Florida. Actually announced it. He committed on Saturday. That's when Shane Beamer sent out an alert. He was in for his official visit over the weekend. Tight ends coach Sean Elliott went down to see him back in the spring. Offensive coordinator Dowell Loggins also visited with him in the spring. And Douglas then came in for a spring practice in April. So already had a good feel for South Carolina. They let him know how much they wanted him in the program. And so he's followed through with his commitment. He was limited to 6 games last season with a broken collarbone. Despite going down with that injury, he had 450 receiving yards, 4 touchdowns. He considers himself a hybrid tight end, and that's how Elliott sees him in that role as well. Thinks he can be a complete player. NC State was the other program that was high up on his list. He was scheduled to visit there next weekend, but that has been scratched, obviously. In the spring, he visited State, Wake Forest, Syracuse, and USF. He also had Maryland, Wake Forest, East Carolina, Syracuse, Indiana among the offers. 10th commitment for the Gamecocks 25 class and 3rd on the offensive side. Irmo quarterback athlete A.J. Brand, 6'1", 200. He made official visits this month to USC and Virginia Tech. And he'd been talking to Oregon State about a visit for this coming weekend, but that does not appear to be in the works at this point. With no other visits in mind, Brand has set June 23rd for his commitment announcement. He and his family are still working on the decision. He said both visits have been great, and now they're narrowing down the decision. Key factors for June 23rd, trusting the process, and he and the family will eventually come to that decision. They have not done so yet. His USC visit, he said, went really, really well with Shane Beamer and Mike Furry and Torian Gray. He loved the hospitality, the way they interacted with him and his family. Family loved it. And they were recruiting him as an athlete, not as a quarterback, though they're not closing the door on anything with him. And he has said he's not bothered by that fact with South Carolina. But the fact he's talking to a Furry means they have interest in him as a receiver, and the fact he's talking to Gray means they're interested in him as a safety as well. And they've been keeping in touch with him since the official visit weekend, been talking mostly with Gray and Beamer. Last weekend he went to Blacksburg to visit Virginia Tech. Brand, who passed for about right at 3,000 yards and 45 touchdowns and rushed for 1,100 yards and 17 touchdowns, and the Hokies want him strictly as a quarterback. And so he said he got a chance to learn some more things about that program and talk more with the coaches. They showed him the blueprint of their offense and how similar it is to what he's doing in high school. So no more visits are planned before his announcement on the 23rd, though he will be back at USC June 19th for a 7-on-7 tournament. That likely will not morph into any kind of a recruiting thing because he'll be spending so much time with his team. USC target place kicker London Baronis was offered by Cal today, that ACC power, University of California. He will be in Columbia this weekend on an unofficial visit and a camp performance for the Gamecocks. And South Carolina's already offered him. Clemson target, offensive tackle Mario Nash, was offered by Tennessee. Tom Loy of 24/7 is now casting Clemson as the favorite to land wide receiver Cortez Mills. He was in Clemson for an official visit earlier this month. USC offered 2027 receiver Alexander Ward of Marietta, Georgia. Baseball utility player, second baseman, outfielder Caden Gaskin, Northwest Florida Junior College, committed to USC. Last season, he hit .274, 3 home runs, 36 RBIs. He had 19 stolen bases. Obviously, a guy that can run a little bit. And he was also a junior college All-American after this past season. And former Wofford right-hander Zach Cowan is headed to LSU. And as you heard with Coach Backish a little while ago, 2 Tigers are in the portal, John Barlow and Blauser, to this point. All right, there you go. Unless, Chris, you have anything else you'd like to add to the recruiting report tonight, brought to you by
I do
Seawolves.
not. It was perfection on your part, so I do not want to mess with perfection.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that very much. I would agree. It was the perfect recruiting report.